Okay, so boom! The scene kicks off with Sasuke pulling up to the Uchiha hideout, ready to finally get his long-awaited 1v1 with his big bro Itachi. That man has his sharingan out while walking towards the battle with immense determination and confidence. Look at the head movement, that is a stride of conviction. And trust me, I know. This is exactly how I walked for a week straight after watching 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. Had me ready to fight prime Mike Tyson before I clocked into a cushy shift of greeting customers and stacking apples. After walking for a bit longer, that boy finally gets within sight of Itachi, and right off the muscle, the aura farming has commenced. Look at how this man is posted up, legs crossed, nails done, and we cannot forget the one arm out the sleeve just for the fashion, all while sitting in the sacred chair of his own clan that he slaughtered. I already know Sasuke's blood is boiling. He's not here for no long talk. He better not ask no foolishness, cause he knows what I'm here for.
You know what I'm here for.
Get out them goddamn drop! But to make Sasuke even harder, Itachi proceeds to ask him, what can he see with those eyes? So instead of giving him a proper answer, he gives him a much more feisty one by saying,
what I'm seeing right now is you dead at my feet.
Check his temperature right quick. He may be your big brother, but you gotta make him your son today. Itachi, intrigued with that response, damn near teleports behind Sasuke, then tells him to make it happen. And that was the only green light he needed. And so the fight begins. Itachi tries to draw blood first by redirecting his kunai to Sasuke's eyes, but Sasuke quickly whips out his katana and barely blocks his kunai. Itachi then grabs his arm, pulls him in closer, and tries to kick the ribs out of his body, so Sasuke blocks it with his sword. But this menace Itachi decides to defy gravity and manages to hang in the air, then uses his other foot to give him this concussion-causing kick to the dome. Yeah, I know that knot is gonna grow real big and strong. That shit's about to have its own heartbeat. And look at his neck. Had that boy playing limbo. Sasuke tries to counter with this soft-ass sword swing, but Itachi, still suspended in the air, dodges that attack, then flips over to his backside, grabs his cape, spins him around, then spikes him into the ground like he just caught the game-winning touchdown. While tumbling away like a tumbleweed, he throws his sword into the ceiling, then begins to boot up his Chidori. But Itachi remembers that weak-ass attack from last time, so the nigga doesn't even blink, and that visibly had Sasuke vexed. So he starts to sprint towards him, but instead of trying to punch it through his chest, he stops mid-sprint and hits him with a Chidori stream. So Itachi instinctively jumps out the way to avoid it. But little did he know that was exactly what Sasuke wanted, because as soon as Itachi got close to that ceiling, he sees Sasuke posted up on the ceiling with his sword in his hand, and before he could figure out his next play, Sasuke hit this weak goddamn ass smirk, then proceeds to shish kebab this man to the ground. Okay, nigga, get back! I am far from a Sasuke fan, but there is nothing better than a sweet get back. But that tiny ounce of proudness that I felt for this boy quickly disappeared when this nincompoop said,
I have one final thing to ask of you.
I beg your pardon? Final? Oh nah, he can't be in his right mind. He gotta be in his left. I know you didn't think this little dinky katana was gonna take out the Uchiha's best prospect ever. This is just the start, nigga. Have you lost your mind? That CTE must be kicking in hard. Itachi probably holding back a couple laughs, and this boy thinking he could finish him off with that simple ass stab doesn't even let him bask in the short-lived victory, because to Sasuke's astonishment, Itachi slowly lifts his hand towards Sasuke's face while shaking like he got Parkinson's, then abruptly stops the shaking and flicks that wrist to the left. And that is when we see this man still sitting in the chair in the same position he was in when Sasuke first pulled up. This nigga's been in a genjutsu the whole time. See, this is why I could not fight this man. He'd have you thinking you've been beating the dog shit out of him the whole time, but lo and behold, you've been stabbing up your granny for the last 15 minutes. Congratulations, you played yourself. I just have to squash the beef cause he's clearly not one to play with. Sasuke then watches Itachi's clone disperse into crows, but for some reason he doesn't seem very surprised. He instead calmly gets up, looks looks at Itachi, then says,
Let me try this again.
Hold on though, not the double fake out. Sasuke did not come to play around. Now Sasuke is crouched down behind Itachi with a lightning infused blade bulging right through Itachi's chest. He soon starts questioning Itachi on the third Uchiha with the mangekyo sharingan he spoke about the day he gutted his family, and with a little resistance, Itachi tells Sasuke that the ninja besides him and Itachi to possess those eyes is none other than Madara Uchiha. Sasuke then gets flashbacks to when the Nine-Tails was explaining who Madara was before he rudely interrupted him, and now he's shaking and wondering how that's even possible. So Itachi lets him know that everything is not always as it seems, word to Alex Russo, then starts explaining how the majority of his conclusions are really assumptions, but the truth can be quite the opposite. An ancient dead nigga is really alive. Your loving, thoughtful brother is actually a sadistic, murderous monster. This gorgeous woman right here is actually a man. Life is sometimes just one big illusion. But Sasuke is tired of the illusions and all his other trickery. So he boots up a lightning blade, turns around, and stabs it into the other direction. But oddly enough, the blade still manages to hit the chair Itachi's sitting in. The cameraman definitely knew I'm a little mentally challenged, so he gives us a bird's eye view for clarification. And that is when we see Itachi sitting on another chair right in front of him. What is this, another genjutsu? What is going on? Watching these first couple fake outs had me dazed and confused. This is exactly how I feel now with the rise of AI videos. I seen a clip of Rick Ross's ginormous self exercising the other day. I still don't know if it's real or fake. Itachi then starts to talk some junk, asking him why he would even dare step to him when he clearly said to come back when he had the same eyes as him. And if we take a closer look, homeboy did not meet the requirements. This nigga should have been thrown out the club. But Sasuke quickly snaps back, saying that he doesn't need those eyes to kill him. But that, my friend, is simply not true. Itachi then begins to walk towards him while schooling him on the mangekyo sharingan's abilities, stating that the more they're used, the faster you get turned into Stevie Wonder. And that is when we get to see Itachi's POV. And my lordy is this man blind. I thought he was walking closer to be intimidating. Whole time the nigga's just trying to get a better look. Sasuke now begins to question Itachi on the mangekyo sharingan and its legendary wielder. So that's when Itachi says,
Let me tell you a little about the past.
Brother, keep it. I know what's coming. I consider myself a seasoned Naruto viewer, so at this point I knew that let me tell you about the past is really just code for multiple filler episodes incoming. Ninjas will be mid-fight, then start talking about I never fit in as a kid. Now we getting flashbacks from the 1900s, but we don't care. Thankfully, we didn't get 9 back-to-back filler episodes after this. But boy, was that man running his mouth like a soft criminal who's been threatened with any amount of jail time. Just yappa yappa yappa, whole room smell like the back of Uchiha throats. To summarize what was said, the main message Itachi was trying to drive home was that he will be the one to grasp the Uchiha's true greatness, and he will need Sasuke's eyes to do so. Talking about some Sasuke!
You are the one who will become my new life!
Oh, nah, you can't fight this menace. He's lost his mind. This nigga's been nonchalant the whole show and now he wants to get loud? Oh, no, I'm not hearing it. Somebody else sub in and sir, you have a blessed day. But fortunately for all of us who've been feeding for this fight, Sasuke stupidly decides to stand his ground and starts unwrapping his head and wrist wraps, then tosses off his robe. So Itachi gives him one last warning while putting his hand back in his sleeve, showing him that he means business this time. But Sasuke doesn't give 1, 2, or 3 shits about that mangekyo sharingan. So he commences the next stage of the fight by pulling out 2 shurikens and launching them at Big Bro. So Itachi launches 2 at his 2 to deflect them. Then the 2 just start chucking an endless amount of shurikens at each other for what felt like forever. Like they were really beating them Johns with max intensity. You would have thought they were fighting for an MLB contract. Rotator cuffs just screaming right now. No, really listen to the amount of metal in the air right now. Over here sounding like a broke nigga losing his whole inventory. Just just a bunch of metal clapping together. The madness finally comes to a pause when the two of them collide in the middle, both blocking the other one's attack, and now they're going sharingan for sharingan, while also gripping the out of each other's wrists. Listen to this, that's that gorilla grip right there. They both about to tear a limb off. The stalemate does eventually come to an abrupt end when the clone Itachi somehow managed to create during this chaos jumps up and yeets 3 kunais at Sasuke. So he decides to block his attack by pushing out one of Maru's snakes out the side of his neck to wrap around it. The snake tries to bite Itachi's arm off, so Itachi jumps back. Then Sasuke whips his sword right at Itachi. Itachi blocks it with ease, but he wasn't aware that Sasuke ran a Chidori through it. So that rotating sword eventually took his arm clean off, forcing the clone to disappear. The crows from the clone managed to briefly throw off Sasuke, so Itachi teleports right in his face, then kicks Sasuke in the gut, sending him crashing into a wall. And there he go again, fucking up the concrete. That back will never know peace. I know he's been having back spasms since that last encounter, stunning that nigga's growth with just that kick alone. Before Sasuke could cook up another attack, Itachi rushed over to him, grabbed his wrist, disrespectfully stomped on the chanclas, punched his stomach into his ass, then had that man pinned up with one arm like a little kid. This man Itachi is doing him in the worst way, and I couldn't do nothing but smile. There is nothing better than a nice slice of humble pie, cause it's time you realize that you are not that guy. Now Itachi slowly reaching for Sasuke's eyes, ready to yoink those eyes out of their sockets. Had this eye bulging out of his skull like we asked him to name 5 BDG songs or die. This is tragic. Unfortunately, Sasuke, along with the rest of the population, won't be able to recall more than 2. So that menace Itachi pulled that trigger. Now Sasuke's crying out, gripping that eye while Itachi just talks smack in his ear. He then tells him that he's coming for that second one next, but Sasuke refuses to give up that easily. So he activates his curse mark and pushes out that nasty, ashy, demonic looking wing that I despise so much and forces Itachi off of him. Itachi then whips out his storage container to put Sasuke's eye in it, but while doing so, this man stealthily baby boy headlocks this man Sasuke, and now the other Itachi is walking him down, ready to take the other one. But all of a sudden, Sasuke's curse mark swarms his eye. Then 2 giant snakes shoot through the back of Itachi's clone, and soon the color begins to get sucked out of the frame. Then finally, the frame begins to splice up faster and faster until the whole reality is distorted and wiped away. Ooh, this junk was heat, I cannot lie. Damn near started tutting to this. This was very Matrix-esque. Now, although the Genjutsu has been released, Sasuke is still clutching his eye, so I assumed Buddy was still gonna need an eye patch. But when he lifted his hand to uncover his eye, we see that his Sharingan is still intact. And to make things even more confusing, Itachi is now on his knees clutching his eye. Now, I know the Sasuke meat riders were flexing on every Itachi fan within their radius, but whether you're a fan of Sasuke or not, you and I both know that was plot armor at its finest. That Kyle Kuzma ass, Kool-Aid with no sugar added ass Sharingan. There is no way this should have been able to break through Itachi Tsukuyomi. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. And listen to this weak ass explanation by Black Zetsu, who's been watching the whole time.
But the ordinary Sharingan is still a weapon, and a weapon can either be strong or weak depending on the ability of the person who is wielding it. Someone with Shuriken might be taken down by a mere pebble if it's thrown by a master.
Nigga, no. I'm not buying this. Cause what happens when the nigga with the shuriken is also a master, huh? Explain that.
Well done, if you just look at how Sasuke was able to...
You don't have the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the...
Itachi then gets back on his feet, and now the two of them are having yet another stare down. Itachi eventually comes to the conclusion that Genjutsu won't be enough to take him out, so instead he resorts to his ferocious ninjutsu and quickly starts weaving signs. But Sasuke refuses to let him get that Amaterasu off, so he whips out this giant shuriken and throws it right at Itachi. The giant shuriken then quickly turns into 2, so Itachi smoothly dodges it by jumping in between both of them. But that man Sasuke outsmarted him yet again by rigging the 2 shurikens. So right after watching Sasuke yank those threads, Itachi looked back at it to see what fate awaited his cheeks. And unfortunately for him, it was a giant piece of the shuriken blade that inevitably pierced his thigh. Black Zetsu, still watching from above, decides to add his 2 cents in, saying that Prime Itachi would have easily dodged that, so something must be off. And that is when we get a much closer look at Itachi's physical state, and it is very clear that them ninja aids is in high gear. He over here sweating and shaking like he just had a hot chip, while also seeing triples and doubles no Westbrook. Sasuke can clearly see that he has Itachi on the ropes right now, meaning it's the perfect time to go for the knockout. So with zero hesitation, he claps his hands together to boot up a fireball jutsu. So Itachi with his crippled leg laggingly jumps out the way, but Sasuke is still on that ass like white on rice. So he damn near boots up his Chidori at the same time he left the ground, then attempts to Chidori the AIDS patient through the roof. Itachi somehow emerges from the smoke still intact, then swiftly boots up a giant fireball jutsu to turn him into ashes. But sadly for Itachi, Orochimaru's hacks were in full effect because those devilishly ashy wings came to his protection. After staring at each other once again, they both begin to take a deep breath in, then simultaneously activate their fireball jutsu. And now they're both battling it out to see who has the hottest breath. They both wouldn't want to see my sister in one of these comps though. I'm telling you, that stench is unmatched. To burn a hole through steel with them biohazardous fumes. Listen, no, cut the music. If you're watching this, go get that shit checked. You need help. Toothpaste, mints, Listerines, nigga, something. The battle of the breaths carry on for a little bit longer, but Itachi must have had some sardines before coming here, because he edges out Sasuke by booting up those devilish Amaterasu flames, turning Sasuke's into nothing but smoke and air. See, now who said you can't fight fire with fire? We just seen the proof. So Sasuke, somewhat freaked out by the flames, finally does what I tell every ninja in a lopsided battle to do, and beelines it out of there. But Itachi refuses to let that little runt escape, so he forces that bloody eye open and starts hawking him down with them Amaterasu flames. But at what cost though? Look how strained his eye is. All type of lines and shapes around that iris. Mosaic art ass eyeball. It's about to fall out. But nonetheless, Itachi, like a triple K clansman, is determined to burn some shit down. So after damn near lighting up all the trees surrounding the hideout, Itachi finally gets a hold of him and fries him up like that overcooked crumb in your air fryer. When I seen them black flames catch his wing, I started jumping for joy like I won the lottery. Been hating them wings since the dawn of its conception. Hate's not even a strong enough word for the feelings I have for those wings. Like, who let Didimaru cook? Kick that nigga out the kitchen, please. Itachi, now out of breath, breathing heavy like a dog, eventually decides to walk over to Sasuke to collect his new eyes. But when he bends down to collect them, Sasuke suddenly begins to deflate, and that's when we see Sasuke smugly looking up at him through a giant crack in the roof. It turns out, while Sasuke was on fire, he stealthily cut a hole through the roof, then slithered through the crack, leaving his shedded skin to burn. There go Orochimaru with them nasty ass hacks. Look how he slithered through that shit with all that mystery juice on him. No, I'm out.
You think I'm about to?
I'm not watching!
Sasuke then proceeds to transform further into his curse mark form while Itachi's up there fighting for his life. But Sasuke is not Kidimaru. He's not about to pause the fight and wait for you to take no type of medicine. But what you can take are these fire dragon balls to the throat. This man Sasuke didn't even hesitate before sending a bunch of dragon-shaped flames right at Itachi. Sick he did somehow manage to dodge them though, and now they're just glaring at each other through the giant hole in the roof. Sasuke, of course, fixes his mouth to say something smart, talking about something.
That Amaterasu of yours. It seems to have taken quite a lot out of you.
But then this nigga instantly collapses to the ground, sweating like he just ran a 10K. Brother, you're clearly exhausted too. It be the people doing just as bad as you, if not worse, to comment on your situation. Damn, your Honda's cool, I guess, but you should've got an M5. That's a real man's car. Brother, your left shoe has 3 holes in it, and you know every bus driver in the city on a first name basis. You don't wanna go there with me. Itachi's not letting none of that fake cocky shit slide though. So he checks him and tells him that he can see he's on his last legs too. I got a sharingan, dummy. You thought you could hide your levels from me? But fortunately for the Sasuke meat munchers, he clearly had one more trick up his sleeve because his confidence is still unwavered. And on top of that, rain starts pouring out of nowhere and lightning and thunder begin to clap in the skies above them. Now this boy is talking about some.
Do you really believe that I would come here to kill you and be unprepared?
Then the lightning and thunder intensify even more. Oh, now what is going on? Did this nigga recruit Thor for backup? I wouldn't put it past him, Buddy would clearly do anything for the win. But instead of receiving a monumental Marvel x Naruto collab, this man Sasuke actually used the fireballs from earlier to commence this attack. Black Zetsu then starts putting his master in science to work and starts explaining the jutsu, talking about some.
He shot his fire-style jutsu into the sky to cause the ambient temperature of the atmosphere to rise rapidly and create an ascending air current to form a cumulonimbus. In other words, to create a...
Oh, shut up, nigga.
Yeah, he chatting, but shout out to him though, cause I know good and well 95% of you had no idea what was going on, and the other 5% of you are just flat out liars. You not about to sit here and tell me you knew that was a Christopher Columbus. He was
A cumulonimbus. Actually, that's really what he actually said.
Brother, they got the point. I hate me an autocorrect ass. Sasuke then begins to harvest the power of the lightning and flips his way up to the top. He even manages to intensify the jutsu even more by using the heat from Itachi's Amaterasu. And now a giant lightning dragon is peeking through the clouds ready to wreak havoc. So Sasuke gives the dragon a signal and says,
Now be gone with the thunderclap.
Then Sasuke proceeds to thunderclap the life force out of Itachi while completely decimating the terrain around them. With the hideout looking like it never existed in the first place, it would be very reasonable to think that Itachi is no more. After all, look at him, just over there slumped and discombobulated, robe nowhere to be found, left arm making a 90-degree angle, right shoulder looking completely dislocated. This is how my action figures used to look as a kid, limbs just twisted up, bottom of the toy box ass nigga. What a tragic end. So rightfully so, Sasuke retracts his sharingan and rejoices in his victory, but like a lingering demon refusing to be exorcised, we hear.
Is this the death you had imagined for me then?
And that's when our eyes are met with the sight of Itachi's an unsettling voice tempting him to take his help.
I can give it to you. I can lend you the power that you need.
Then this man's shoulder starts twerking and a bunch of snakes come rushing out of Sasuke's body while he cries out in agony. Now 8 giant snakes are slithering towards Itachi, but Itachi's not phased at all. He is slicing and dicing these snakes like he's a sushi chef. The last remaining snake though wisely decides to not lunge at Itachi and instead opens his mouth to allow a slimy butt booty naked Orochimaru to slither out its mouth. But the freak off did not stop there. Orochimaru then opens his mouth and starts pushing out this long ass 24-inch sword. This junk even got white and black Zetsu looking disgusted. Something is seriously wrong with this creature. Like, what am I watching right now? Is this throat on throat Inception? You are a freaky ass nigga. Itachi was definitely not with that freaky stuff because this man completes the fastest 1v1 in Naruto history. He one-taps Orochimaru with his Totsuka blade, which quickly absorbed that demon, sucking him up like a bounty paper towel, leaving little old Sasuke with no more hacks to take him on. So Itachi sets his sights back on Sasuke, who is now so depleted that he can't even activate his Sharingan anymore. After catching his breath, he then tells Sasuke that his eyes are his and that he'll take his time retrieving them. But then out of nowhere, that man clutches his chest and starts coughing up blood. That cancer is clearly in stage 6, so Sasuke tries to attack him while he still has a chance by chucking a bunch of kunais with bombs attached to them. But there is no use, because even in this state, his susano is still impenetrable. So Itachi continues to drunkenly sway towards him, while Sasuke inches back in fear, still trying his luck with these useless attacks. But between the susano, that Totsuka blade, and that shield, he is literally invincible. But Sasuke, being the stubborn brat he is, refuses to accept his fate and pulls out his sword to give it one more shot. So he double hand cocks it back like D-Rose and tries to stab Itachi, but that shield disrespectfully sent bro bouncing across the ground. Really analyze this tumble. No matter how I pause this, there is a glaring injury with every bounce. Lower lumbar, T4 fracture, stage 7 concussion, right shoulder dislocation. That boy is as good as gone. Even after that neck-breaking tumble, Itachi is still walking Sasuke down, except now he has nowhere left to run. There is nothing left for that man to do but accept his fate. But he is not doing it with the dignity and honor he should have. I know you lost the battle, but chin up. Fuck that, nigga. If you gotta go eyeless for the rest of your life, whoop-de-doo. And if he ends up chopping you up like he did your parents, whoop-de-doo. At least you're with them again. You gotta think of the glass half full. Sasuke's not trying to hear any of that though, because Itachi has finally gotten within arm's reach of his little brother and extends his torn up bloody hand to his face while Sasuke just watches in shock. But if what he was seeing wasn't enough to stun him, the words Itachi muttered in his ears definitely did the trick. Clear my browser history. And just like that, his older brother that he despised for so long, the one that pushed him towards becoming so powerful, the one that gave him purpose. Is no more. And in a very poetic fashion, Sasuke collapses beside him, both staring into the clouds right next to the only stone left standing, which just so happened to have the iconic Uchiha fan stamped right in the middle, thus marking the end to this monumental sibling brawl. Overall, a peak way to start the end of Sasuke's vengeance rampage for his clan. The tension, the determination, the bloodlust. I personally could have done with a little bit more fisticuffs action, but after all, this is the Genjutsu master we're talking about, so I'm thankful there was any to begin with. Sasuke gets an A-. He definitely had a lot of praiseworthy moments and blows in this fight that were low-key slept on. But if you think I'm giving him any credit for Itachi's death, you must be out of your mind. I'd rather die than give that man this win. Sasuke already has too many Mickey wins under his belt, and I'm prepared to fight you and your mother if you think this was a win for Sasuke. Orochimaru gets an F for fuck off. He is always ruining iconic moments. Itachi gets an A+. Some of you may think that rating is a little high, but I know for a fact, if he really wanted to, he could have packed that boy up like Crawford did to Canelo. He's just like me for real. Sometimes I like to play with my food. Sadly, the virus had other plans, but it still didn't stop him from giving us one of the most iconic battles in all of Naruto.
I don't really wanna know. Shorty telling me her name. I don't really wanna know. Had to wake up, go to work. I ain't really wanna go. God be with me on my side. He be with me on the low.